I'm sorry about my voice. I'm not quite sure why I'm going through puberty again. But it might be the fact that here in Minnesota, winter has arrived. Our lesson today is titled Putting Our Lives in Order. The references for this are the Pope Francis encyclical Laudato Si, the Most Holy Dalai Lama, and Bishop Tutu, and then the Archbishop of Canterbury. Looking ahead to the future that awaits us after the coronavirus, the Lord's time, rediscovered during this emergency, is a source of meaning for the rest of the space of our existence. One of the first observations that Pope Francis makes in the encyclical Laudato Si, looking at what is happening in our home, concerns rapidification, that is, the continued acceleration of changes affecting humanity and the planet combined with a more intensified pace of life and work. He notes that this rapidity is at odds with the natural times of biological evolution and wonders whether the objectives of the changes are oriented to the common good and to the integral and sustainable human development. Looking back at the short span of our lives, those of us who have reached a certain age can see how many things have changed completely, and how, in an ever shorter span, they change once again. Fortunately, many things have changed for the better, such as the living conditions for very many poor people of the world, the possibilities for medical treatments and surgeries, free movement around the world, education, information, and communication. But at the same time, the obsolescence of many goods has been accelerated well beyond simply the ability to feed economic development and provide profits for certain sectors. Advertising obsessively pushes the desire for unnecessary novelty, creating a dependence that makes the latest find, the latest product, the latest new thing seem necessary. And so in many areas, the acceleration of change risks becoming an end in itself, a form of slavery rather than of progress. I need the new iPhone. But it seems clear that we are moving at an unsustainable pace, and that sooner or later we will break down, as we can already see stress fractures and issues due to this use, and the very serious threats it causes to the environment. For their part, many active people, thoroughly integrated into the functioning of the modern world, are engaged in a very intense rhythms of activity. At first, they join in with passion and enthusiasm, but they soon realize the heavy price they must pay in terms of human and family relationships, affections, and overall balance in their personal lives. Now this increasingly accelerated course has suffered a serious shock. Economic indicators have been upset. Our plans have been turned on their head. Meetings and trips have been cancelled. For many people, the concept of time has been lost, and they have become disoriented. Already, it's time. How do we experience it? In the end, what's the point? There is a time for activity, but also there are times for joyful expectation, times for being together, and loving one another, times for contemplating beauty, times for long sleepless nights, times of waiting in suffering silence. There is also the possibility of wasting a great deal of time needlessly, of becoming embittered by the sense of uselessness and emptiness. There is also a time for being alone with oneself. Is there also a time for being with God? When we are bursting with life, the idea of being with God gets pushed to the margins, the edges of our existence. We tend to find countless things to do first, things that seem urgent or pleasant, while time spent with the Lord is often postponed. For many people, this strange time of having to stay at home on account of the coronavirus has been a time to rediscover faith and prayer. One might wonder whether the inability to go to church will negatively affect faith and the spiritual life, or if, on the other hand, it might be a time, as Jesus said to the Samaritan woman, to learn to worship the Lord in spirit and in truth, in every place, even in our homes, where we are obliged to remain, and even in a time of forced inactivity. And Jesus adds, elsewhere, that the Spirit blows whithersoever. May you each find your faith expanding to fill the spaces in your life, for He has always been there, waiting in the silences between the words, between the thoughts, waiting for you to think of Him.